Mac Jones, and really, just because you're the quarterback, it's like being the star NBA player or the star pitcher. You get talked about more, though clearly the Patriots have an elite defense, have, I don't know, the best head coach ever. I know this guy has done some weird shit in his career, right? He got, they hated him in Denver. He left Chris Ballard at the altar, but he is a fantastic offensive coordinator in Josh. So it's not even just Bill; it's Bill and Josh. And offensively, like Hunter Henry, like they have some weapons, like for him to dink and dunk to, and he does a lot of dinking and dunking. But Mac Jones does look pretty good for a rookie. I mean, I thought today was pretty impressive, just the way he kind of handles himself. That's a big game.
Yeah. Yeah, he was 19 to 23 for 198, 3 touchdowns, had the 48-yard touchdown to Kendrick Bourne. Will on the chat says, after today, I trust New England to make the Super Bowl more than Tampa. Hot take. It might be a little hot just because of the quarterback discrepancy still, but he looks really good. Now, I've been saying this, and I'll continue saying this. These quarterback kind of comparisons, these things take years to really play themselves out. It's like watching one of those stadium dot races in between the 5th and 6th inning, but over the course of 3 years. Just because the yellow dot is ahead at the beginning doesn't mean the green dot isn't going to pass them, and then like out of nowhere, though they crash and the purple dot comes flying up. Like careers are long, especially at quarterback. Guys get a lot of chances.
I always like the cup thing on the ball.
The cup one is always a great one. 4! I guess there's no 4. It's always 1, 2, or 3. 3! It's a 3! Just simple joy, John. That one is simple fun. But he looks really good. And I had the thought today, because did you send me a clip, or maybe I just saw it on the internet? They asked 2 people who were, I can't keep track of all the shows I watch, but they asked 2 like NFL analysts, is it him or is it the system? And they were both like, the system. Do you know what I'm talking? Who said that or where I saw that?
No, but I mean, he is.
It was respected.
He's gaining a lot of yards on screen passes.
For sure, and that's legitimate. But there is also just something to him. I mean, Jarrett Stidham didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something to the guy. There's just something to the guy, and they trust the guy. And McDaniels is fantastic. You're right. And Bill and Bobcat Goldthwait, his son from Police Academy, that's what he looks like, or however you say that actor's name. I mean, the whole thing's working right now. But he is making some plays. Now, will he ever be for an extended period of time like much better than Jimmy Garoppolo's best? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, man, I got no problem with some of the conversations people are having about him right now.
And again, like if you and I lived in Cincinnati or Dallas, Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't be the bar. But obviously, when the Niners made this trade and have kept Jimmy Garoppolo, we're comparing him to Jimmy Garoppolo. And the Patriots kind of did too, because they probably, before they knew they could get Mac, would have taken Jimmy Garoppolo. And who knows? Jimmy Garoppolo with them might look better than the version that we've seen. But it does feel like Mac's more accurate. I just know if you and I were head coach and GM or owner or whatever, and I had to choose for the next 8 weeks who I'd want running my team, Mac Jones or Jimmy Garoppolo, I think not even just me and you, I think universally around the NFL, every single human would take Mac Jones. He just feels, he's much more calm. He just feels much more accurate. He had a couple throws a day to Hunter Henry that, like, Jimmy, he lost that. Now, you're right. In 19, when he had his heyday, and his heyday was really like a stretch of football. Like, it wasn't the whole season because the defense carried them in games. It was like a 8-9 game stretch where they had some injuries, and he was throwing 350-yard games. He was going toe-to-toe with Russell Wilson. Like, does Mac ever have that high end? I don't know. But Jimmy showed that, like, that was kind of a flash in the pan. Mac, it does feel a little bit more like, is he ever going to be like an ace on a pitching staff? I don't know. But could he just have like a 10-year career as like a sweet number 2? Like, is he just Matt Cain or something?
To me, he could definitely have a sweet career. He could be somebody's starter for a while. The question is, right, there's different levels of Mac Jones.
Yeah, am I paying him $50 million in 3 years and I got to build the team, with him?
That's one of the big questions. One of the other questions is, are you better off with him at 12, drafting him at 12, and dealing with whatever that, like, what is that ceiling? Or are you better off taking a big swing? Because if you draft him at 12, are you in the same position 6 years from now that the Vikings are perpetually in, that you're in, that you were in, that created you the need to draft Trey Lance? I mean, Dan Wetzel wrote about it. Oh, go ahead.
Do you think right now, if Kyle could choose, honest moment, would you, if you could do it over again, would you have just sat at 12, taken Mac Jones, cut Jimmy, or just let them battle it out and you would have given the job to Mac Jones, but had your 2 first-round picks, or done what you've done?
I think he would do that. I think he would change history because I think it'd make his life easier right now. I think he thinks he'd have a better football team right now, today. Now, I mean, they're not the Patriots on defense, right? But yeah, I think he would do that. Now, I don't know. The hard part about that is we're constantly trying to guess how much he likes Trey Lance.
Would you see he had some quotes. He was asked about, Trey's. Mike Silver had said something about his struggle, like how he's kind of gone in the tank, and Kyle said kind of push back, but now also not really. Like maybe there's some truth to that. It was a little weird.
Yeah, he said, well, everybody's up, because he said he's regressed. He's like, well, everybody's up and down. You get better, you get worse. It's a constant, which I think that's probably more true. It kind of, for me, crystallized why I've always had a little bit of a problem with regressed, because things change. Like there's so many different, like, did I regress if I'm the same guy, but my offensive line got better or got worse? And now I look worse. Did I regress, or did I just not get better? If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. But that whole thing. Yeah, I mean, I thought Kyle's answer was like a more real, like, this is how it works with human beings.
Yeah.
Like you do well, then we level you up a little bit, give you a little more, and now you slide back a little bit, right?
Yeah. It's an evolving fluid process.
Yes. It's a living, breathing organism,
Yeah, Trent Williams gets sweeter every day. But everyone else in this room, hell, George Kittle disappears for a while. He's probably right?
Well, like, has Clemson regressed? Or is it just some years you take a step back to take a step forward? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think they regressed. Their talent wasn't the same, and their quarterback play fell off a cliff. I think in college football, regression's more because your players change so much.
Yeah, but so maybe the better way to put it, has Dabo Swinney regressed? Has he lost something?
Good coaches are usually better with better players.
Dan Wetzel wrote about it, about Mac, and he, at one point, he wrote, like, should he be drafted 2? Should he be drafted 1? And then he even kind of said, it's soon for that. But this is what else he wrote. The Niners had the 3rd overall pick. It traded 2 first-round selections and a third, and up from 12 to 3. It took Trey Lance. He remains enough of a project that he's barely seen the field, even though he needs to beat out only Jimmy Garoppolo. In an alternate world, the Niners keep all their picks, trade Jimmy back to New England, probably for a second, and then just take Jones at 12. In other words, Trey Lance better turn out great. Yeah, that's exactly right. Do you think Kyle would, right now, this moment, if he could snap a finger, have not traded any picks and taken Mac Jones at 12?
Well, then it's just like, is Mac Jones, would he have just been quicker to beat out Jimmy? Because Jimmy
would have been gone
farther. But so they just would have cut Jimmy and then
that scenario. Yeah, you trade him or something. You do whatever with him.
Yeah, and then maybe you got some extra cash to do some other sweet shit. Maybe you land Odell's on the team. Yeah, I mean, there's a butterfly effect that potentially. Here, my issue though, to Wetzel's point, this is really about him becoming a star in years to become, which I don't know if Mac Jones can become. Now, can Mac Jones become the best version of? I'd even put Carr as like a better version of Cousins, even though Cousins, like, I guess, let me rephrase that. A more talented version of Cousins, because Cousins does have seasons that Derek just does not have in terms of touchdowns. But Derek's a little younger. But like I just think he'd kind of be the best version of that kind of crew, like what Alex was ahead of for a long time, right? Because that's just kind of his physical skill set. Now, you never discount, right, work ethic and toughness and football IQ, and he might just have all these intangible stuff to be better than, like, I'm not saying that he can't be better than even I believe, because that's how sports work sometimes. Like, no one ever thought, 2 years in, Curry was going to be great, and then he became probably a top 8 player of all time when the dust settles. So there's stuff internally in people that this guy clearly has some shit to him, and you'd have to give him a lot of respect to go into that building as a rookie, and clearly just feels like he's kind of in control of the operation. Bill trusts him. It's pretty impressive. Which Trey is not really able to do, right? And maybe it was always rigged against him, as a rookie. Now, they're different. I mean, he learned under Nick Saban and just won a national championship. This guy didn't even play last year at Division I AA. So it's one guy was at Harvard Business School. The other guy was at, like, Fresno State. Now, that doesn't mean in 5 years the Fresno State guy can't be way richer, right? Well, I mean, there might not be. In the business world, who knows? So, but in football, who knows? Like, it doesn't. But he did have a leg up learning from Saban and Sark and some of those guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And playing with the players he played with, right? Playing with NFL level talent and playing in big games. Mr. Superfly says after today's Max got 13 touchdowns, 11 picks. Are you guys really crazy about that? No, I'm not crazy about it, but you just can't deny that something is working there. And this is where, when you make comparisons that you hate to make, the Tom Brady thing, when people are coming out like, oh, maybe he could be like Tom Brady. To me, when you say that, now maybe some people are saying he could be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but I don't think anyone was saying that. To me, I think what you're saying when you make that comparison is just, does he have something in him that we can't really see right now? Right? That's what that comparison means. Like, there's nothing on the checklist of all-time great quarterbacks that you could have identified with Tom necessarily. You would have said some of the same stuff. Not a great athlete, not a great arm. I mean, he probably has a better arm, but I bet his arm got stronger as time went on.
It did.
The way he learned to torque his body and all that stuff. So TB12. That's what that is. Like, it's not actually comparing Mac Jones to Tom. I think it's just saying, is there something within him? That's what I thought about today when I was like, well, no, every time Mac Jones does something right now for the next year or two, it's going to be, yeah, it's the system, or yeah, it's the talent, or yeah. But at some point, if you keep winning and producing, we have to give you your flowers. And, we'll see. But that's
do you think Tom would have drank pitchers of beers, Tito's and sodas, and then gone to Steak Shack? And
yes. As a rookie, absolutely.
Double burgers and this unreal, it's called like the white and black shake. It has like peanut butter. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, melt in your mouth. I've been thinking about it all day.
Absolutely. Yes, I think Tom ate very dirty once upon a time.
Yeah. I'm not a rookie, though.